It's a global problem called transnational repression. The intimidation, harassment, and at times violence directed against dissidents, journalists, human rights activists, and ethnic and religious minorities living in exile.
Transnational repression is when foreign governments reach outside their borders to silence, intimidate, or even harm people that are either dissidents or members of ethnic and religious minority communities.
And they've become brazen enough to go after people on U.S. soil just for exercising their freedoms and criticizing regimes or advocating for democracy overseas.
And the man who was the inspiration for the movie Hotel Rwanda has been arrested on terror charges. The 66-year-old has come under fire because he is an outspoken critic of the current president of Rwanda. His daughter claims he was traveling to Dubai and was kidnapped and taken to Rwanda.
Reprisals ordered by the leaders of the authoritarian regimes these exiles have fled. Scholars like Dr. Ming Xia, professor and author.
The Chinese government, and of course, they want to silence critics' voice. And so, of course, they wanted to keep me silent.
Activists like Iranian-American journalist Masih Alinejad.
If you are a woman, you are a threat, but if you are a critical woman, if you are a female journalist, then they see you like a nightmare, and they want to eliminate you from everywhere.
And Tiananmen Square student leader Yan Xiong.
Every time when I have a big event, such as go to make a big speech on the Capitol Hill, I got harassed by the communist government. They still treat me as a former Tiananmen Square student leader.
These exiles believed they were safe from the brutal regimes they fled. And from Main Street America, they continued their fight for the rights of their countrymen and women back home.
Imagine your beloved one was hanged for the crime of peacefully protesting, for the crime of demanding democracy, dignity, freedom. How would you feel? And what would you do?
Homelands whose dictators want these exiled activists silenced wherever they are, one way or another. In America, these dissidents do not stand alone.
We will not tolerate such repression here when it violates our laws. We will not allow any foreign government to deny them the freedom of speech or the protection of our laws, or to threaten their safety or the safety of their families.
So what does this look like in real life? It can be a college student who's expressed their opinion and is now being threatened and feels like they're too afraid to engage in campus life. It could also be an activist whose family member has been imprisoned in their country of origin in order to silence them so that they will stop their activism. And it can even be someone who's simply existing as a member of an ethnic minority or who's quietly practicing their faith, but a foreign regime sees that difference as a threat, and so they seek to control and repress that. So it can happen to anyone.
These are the real stories of 3 activists exiled in the U.S. who were targeted for discreditation, kidnapping, and even murder.
We deserve a future that we can be proud of. A future where all of us are included.
For all of us, vote for Yan Xiong, Congress.
Yan Xiong looked like the perfect candidate for the 10th Congressional District representing Chinatown in Lower Manhattan. His resume is that of a natural-born leader, sparked during his youth in communist China, a resume that put a target on his back.
At this hour, there are hundreds of thousands of people here in Tiananmen Square, perhaps as many as 500,000, even more.
25-year-old Yan Xiong was one of the student leaders at Tiananmen Square. He led the delegation that met with Premier Li Ping to negotiate for freedom of speech and other democratic reforms. But talks fell apart, and the Communist Party hardliners prevailed, crushing the revolution and killing perhaps as many as 10,000.
On the streets leading down to the main road to Tiananmen Square, furious people stared in disbelief at the glow in the sky, listening to the sound of shots.
Targeted as one of China's most wanted, Yan was arrested, beaten, and imprisoned for 19 months, despite never being charged with a crime. Yan fled to the United States, where he received asylum.
I came to USA in 1992, then joined the U.S. Army in 1994 as a PFC, and commissioned in 2003 as a chaplain, and deployed to Iraq for 1 year.
I joined the Army to serve my country and better myself. I want to be an approachable leader.
After 27 years in the Army, 20 years active duty, I was retired last year.
A devout Christian and father to 7 children, Yan continued his commitment to democracy in his homeland.
We still continue our mission. Want to wake up the Chinese people and want to someday do something for the Chinese human rights, democracy. So we keep doing some activity in the United States. That's why they are feared, all of us. Tiananmen Square 25 years ago, in June of 1989, my own experience of that historic event remains vivid in my memory. After retirement, I want to come to my community. I want to help with the Chinese people, the Chinese community, of course, my district. Get elected so I can really do something good for the people.
When Yan announced his bid for Congress, the Chinese Communist Party took notice, and the target on his back got bigger. The effort to derail Yan's candidacy was launched in September 2021. Lin Chi-ming, a retired member of China's Ministry of State Security, reached out from Beijing to a private investigator in New York. Lin initially wanted basic information on Yan, and to verify he was running for Congress, the PI agreed to help. What Lin didn't know is the PI he hired was an informant for the FBI.
In the fall of 2021, he came to us telling us that he had information that may be of interest to the FBI. We proceeded to identify where Mr. Xiong was located, and then we went out to meet him, to speak with him regarding the matter.
When I heard that, I'm surprised why they're bothering me. So a little bit surprised. Then I realized that if I'm be a successful person, I can have a strong impact on the Chinese people. They want to smother my campaign. They want to sink my campaign.
He was very familiar with what the Chinese government would do to dissidents or people that spoke out against them.
Even 26 years after the Tiananmen Square protests, the Chinese communist regime still denied Yan permission to visit his dying mother in China or attend her funeral months later.
He was very willing to help us out in this situation.
The FBI first moved Yan and his family to a safe location. Then, with Yan's help, the FBI devised a trap. They followed Yan on his daily routine and took staged surveillance photos. Working hand in hand with the PI, the staged surveillance photos were sent to Lin. He took the bait.
That's when Lin took the opportunity to really ramp up his efforts against the victim, saying it wasn't just about finding information, but really he wanted to make every effort that he could to stop our victim from being elected to office.
Lin directed the PI to conduct a smear campaign and dig up dirt on Yan. If there was none to be found, the PI was instructed to create some.
This is America. I'm an American citizen. I'm a veteran. I'm a candidate. So how dare they do that? So I get mad. Then I laugh. They use their way of thinking to make a scandal at me.
As the case progressed, Lin transitioned his efforts from an extramarital affair to potentially using violence against our victim.
The FBI was running out of time. The election was fast approaching. They needed proof the Chinese communist regime had ordered this smear campaign.
It was during communications with Lin regarding payment that we were able to verify that, in fact, the Chinese government was behind Lin's efforts to ruin the election of Xiong.
My family members are suffering. When they know the communists persecuted me, especially this time, they feared. They do not contact with me often as before. So I know they have fear in their heart. I feel guilty. So that's my real concern right now. Yeah.
Dissidents' family members living in the homeland have become easy targets for intimidation and harassment, but new and even more dangerous tactics are on the rise. Interference in a U.S. congressional election is just one example of transnational repression. Another is Iran's plot to kidnap an activist from her home in Brooklyn.
This is what Islamic Republic wants me to be. This is what Taliban and ISIS wants us to be. And this is my true self. In Iran, I was told if I take off my hijab, I will be hanged with my hair by God.
Masih Alinejad, the well-known author and women's rights activist, has risked her life standing up against the oppression of women by the Islamic regime in Iran.
My anger is the anger of people inside Iran.
I like to refer to her as a person who has dedicated their life to being a voice for the voiceless in Iran. She's drawing attention to the forced hijab laws and regulations inside of Iran.
When I was in Iran, I felt like a prisoner, like a hostage in the hands of Iranian regime. We are being oppressed, we are being suppressed, we are being told that, you cannot be your true self. I get lashes, I get jailed, I get fined, I get beaten up in the street every day by morality police. If I get raped, it's my fault. If I take off my hijab, I won't be able to exist as a woman in my homeland. I mean, clearly I'm a troublemaker for the mullahs, for the ayatollahs in Iran. I was a troublemaker since I remember, and I got kicked out from everywhere. So at the end, they kicked me out from Iran. I was always a threat for the Iranian regime.
Masih is credited for spearheading the campaign against the mandatory veil in Iran, where violators are arrested and imprisoned. With over 9 million social media followers, Masih is mobilizing global support to bring change to the regime's oppressive laws and practices.
She has numerous followers inside of Iran who post videos of themselves without the hijab inside Iran and send them to Masih, where she then posts them on her social media accounts. As you can imagine, the government of Iran currently is very much targeting her to stop her.
All the clerics, they're watching me. They're listening to me and millions of women like me. So for me, that was a dream, actually, to break the censorship, to bypass all the stupid, barbaric laws and to be my true self.
All of this has come at great personal sacrifice. Masih was branded an enemy of the state and forced to leave her country. She lives in exile in New York, separated from her family in Iran.
Based on her activities here in the U.S., where she's vocalizing the human rights atrocities, her brother in Iran has been falsely imprisoned. Her sister had been brought on state television and basically forced to denounce her in public. Her parents had been interrogated, and she has not obviously able to ever return to Iran during, at least the foreseeable future.
I'm actually putting my own family in risk, in danger. What can I do? But at the same time, I was bombarded by Iranian women sending me videos and saying that you are my voice. What happened, the Iranian regime found out Masih is not going to give up, even when we take her family members hostage. So you see, they did everything to shut me up, to shut the campaign, to keep me and millions of Iranians silent. They are failed.
But the Iranian regime didn't give up. They just changed tactics. They escalated to cyber attacks and online death threats, and then to the unthinkable. In September 2019, the FBI received information that a US-based private investigator was surveilling Masih at her home in Brooklyn on behalf of the Iranian government.
To have somebody physically here in the United States surveilling a dissident or a United States person is just totally unacceptable. We immediately set up a perimeter of counter-surveillance to attempt to identify who this person was, why were they surveilling her, for what was the purpose, who was receiving this information, and was there an imminent threat?
Soon, the FBI had their answers.
When they showed me the photos of me, my stepson, my husband, my garden, my neighbors, I got goosebumps. I couldn't believe that the FBI is showing me the pictures of my private life and saying that your house is under surveillance, and the Iranian regime hired a private investigator who is actually filming your movement, taking photos of your private life and sending to the regime in Iran. And I was like, so they are here? I couldn't believe it, you know? I couldn't believe it that I left Iran because I wanted to be safe, to be loud. And now they are here.
Masih and her family were immediately moved to various safe houses as the investigation uncovered a brazen scheme to kidnap Masih and take her back to Iran, a scenario that could have come straight out of Hollywood.
We learned that the Iranian government's plot was to kidnap Masih Alinejad from her residence in Brooklyn, New York, take her and transport her to the port in Brooklyn, where she would have then been taken by ship to Venezuela, and in Venezuela then taken by air to Tehran. Likely she would have been, if this was successful, given a public sham trial and likely a public execution.
Sometimes I have this nightmare, like when I hear something in my house, I'm like, maybe they are here. Killing is in the DNA of the Islamic Republic.
In September 2022, Iran had erupted into unprecedented protests. A young woman had been beaten to death by Iran's morality police for allowing her hair to slip out of her hijab. The demonstrations drew renewed attention to Masih's campaigns, and death threats on her social media accounts spiked dramatically.
We set up a perimeter around her house, and we observed an individual acting suspiciously outside of her porch.
So when I saw the man with loaded gun, with AK-7 in front of my house, I was like, he was there not only to kill me. I mean, if I had opened the door or if he had opened fire, how many of my neighbors would have been killed?
This individual was immediately arrested, and we have later learned, which is still an ongoing investigation, that he was tasked to assassinate Masih Alinejad on that day.
A video recovered from the suspect's phone reveals an AK-47 on the front seat of his car while parked outside of Masih's home. The video was sent with the message, "We are ready."
It feels good that they have guns and bullets. They have money, power, all the media. They can hang me. They can kill me. They can send killers here in New York. They can kidnap me. They can do whatever they want. I don't carry any weapon, but they're scared of me. It feels good, you know? It feels like my voice My words are more powerful than their weapons.
We don't have the ability to identify who is spying on whom and on what, for what purpose.
For decades, Wang Shujun was an unassuming Chinese historian and activist who had founded a pro-democracy group in New York. It allowed him to rub shoulders with some of the most brilliant Chinese exiles of his generation, all highly critical of the Chinese Communist Party. But in reality, Wang was hiding a dark secret from his peers.
Wang Shujun did research on Chinese contemporary history. And so as a scholar, of course, we respect each other and we talk to each other. And he was also within the circle which I was involved.
Dr. Ming Jia is an integral part of the Chinese diaspora in New York. He was listed as one of the top 100 Chinese public intellectuals several years running. And he's often targeted for his pro-democracy beliefs.
You become a vocal critic of the Chinese government, of the Chinese government policy. And so they are going to retaliate. They are going to do many things to make your life miserable. I think the presence of the Ministry of State Security is strong. And if I cannot see its lip presence, but I can see its shadow and its cast long.
The way we first came across this case was one of the members of the pro-democracy movement that Wang Shujun started came to the FBI and said, hey, we think he's actually reporting to Chinese intelligence officers, and he's keeping track of us and reporting on our activities and providing our personally identifying information.
The FBI wasted no time turning their attention to Wang Shujun. His secret life was about to be exposed.
Wang Shujun traveled to China regularly, and this is a red flag. It's unusual that someone who's a real pro-democracy activist is allowed to go back and forth without being arrested or harassed. So during one of the trips that Wang Shujun did overseas, we were able to obtain some of the notes he was carrying with him. And one of the notepads that he was carrying had identifying information for over 60 pro-democracy dissidents, both in the US and in Hong Kong. And all of them were targets for the Chinese intelligence services.
The FBI also discovered 4 handwritten phone numbers belonging to the Chinese secret police.
And so using those phone numbers, we identified the intelligence officers, and we were able to unravel the entire network that Wang Shujun was a part of.
Agents suspected that Wang Shujun was indeed a spy working for the Chinese secret police, proving it was something else. So they turned the tables on Wang.
We were able to create a scenario where we sent an undercover agent to Wang Shujun's residence, and the undercover agent told him, hey, I was sent by the boss that you work for. And when Wang Shujun asked which boss, the undercover agent named the most senior of the 4 intelligence officers. And then he said, hey, we know the FBI is investigating you. I'm here to help you clean your electronic devices. And Wang Shujun believed him, let him in, and gave him access to all of his email accounts and all of his encrypted chats where he'd been communicating with those intelligence officers.
This ingenious undercover ruse helped put an end to Wang's 17-year run as a spy when agents discovered his email diaries, 163 detailed reports he'd kept on 64 separate targets.
And so when I was contacted by an FBI and after the Wang Shujun case, I was told that my name and showed up and in the material and my conference was the target. And so I think that was something surprising.
According to a federal indictment, Wang was living a double life, spying for the Chinese secret police and putting the lives of his colleagues in the U.S. and Hong Kong at risk. One Hong Kong dissident was arrested for illegal assembly after having dinner with Wong. He was sentenced to 18 months in a Chinese prison.
Almost all of the victims that the Chinese intelligence officers in this case were targeting were either pro-democracy activists or advocates for freedom in Tibet, advocates for democracy in Hong Kong, and advocates for Taiwan's independence.
In the United States, the Chinese government has successfully created a strong network and to collect and information and to facilitate their work in the United States, and also to intimidate and isolate any people who are not on the same page with them. But you are going to ask, do I have fear? And I think, and if I made my mind and to fight against the autocracy long time ago, and I think I knew my choice. I knew my sacrifice. I know what kind of price I'm going to pay, and but I often try to seek strength, and from some places, when I meet with His Holiness, so I ask him, and I have trouble, I have the stress, I have concern, and how can you help me? So he told me, right, and treat with detachment, and nothing is permanent.
Even though these three cases seem to be unrelated, they're all about the same thing. And that thing is authoritarian governments trying to control the narrative, trying to prove that they're better than democracy, trying to go after people who dare to criticize them. All of these different authoritarian regimes are supporting each other and exchanging tactics. And we see more and more countries that we've never seen before get involved in transnational repression.
Protecting dissidents from these types of repressive attacks is especially challenging if they don't report it to law enforcement.
We recognize that they are oftentimes very, very scared or unwilling to speak with us because they feel that we may not be able to do anything, but the only way we're not able to do anything is if they remain silent.
It is our belief that the relationship between the FBI and the dissident community is so imperative in disrupting these types of threats.
While many exiles are distrustful of authorities in their homelands, in America, the FBI is here to defend all your rights and freedoms.
We take these cases very seriously. They're very important to us. There's nothing more important to the FBI than protecting the American people and upholding the Constitution. We want you to come forward if you're being harassed or targeted by a foreign government for advocating for democracy or for criticizing the regimes. We will protect you, we will investigate, and we will go after the government officials or intelligence officers that are going after you or harassing you.
Every person who answers the phone at the FBI call center has been trained to recognize transnational repression. And if someone calls in and they need to express their story in a language other than English, we can provide that language support.
If we notice something and dangerous, suspicious, we have the responsibility and to work with American government and to find what's going on. And so this is why I think we should offer our cooperation.
So for me, every single day, I thank the law enforcement here that I've been given second life.
من هر وقت پلیس بیرون منتظرم منو بگیرن. عادت ندارم پلیس مراقب من باشه. نه خب هم نگرانی هم وجود داره وقتی میبینمشون.
When I am being under the protection of the FBI, then I have to talk about this. I have to speak up because many other activists, many other journalists, many other dissidents, they don't have the same protection. So I can speak up on behalf of them.
So when I connect with the FBI, I feel much stronger. I know if I follow the rules, do the right thing, I have no fear. That's why I'm still have a smile today. I still have hope for tomorrow.
Regardless of the severity of what you're experiencing, this is still something that we want to protect, we want to hear about, and we want to ensure that you are able to live without that fear, those threats, that coercion happening in your life.
An FBI website outlines our track record in shutting down transnational repression in the United States. The website also contains an easy-to-understand threat intimidation guide, translated in over 60 languages, that will help you make that first step.
We see a lot of countries engaging in transnational repression, some you might not expect. And so we've actually prepared content and resources in over 60 different languages so that people of many backgrounds can understand how to come to the FBI and explain what's happening to them, because we are committed to combating the problem no matter where it comes from. We work with our state and local law enforcement partners and provide them training and resources so that we can all work more closely together. We also collaborate with the rest of the U.S. government, other agencies, so that we all together can push back and impose costs and consequences on any nation that would engage in transnational repression. We also work with our international partners who also are seeking to protect their people from repression. And we cooperate with them so that we can all push back on any nation that engages in repression. But what we won't do is share your story with the foreign nation who's threatening you. We will protect that information and keep it confidential.
The victims in these cases are incredibly brave. A lot of the time, they're standing alone against the full might of a massive intelligence service or a really well-resourced government whose main goal is to silence them. And the FBI will do everything in its power to help them and to protect them and to preserve their freedom of speech and their ability to say what they want to say.
We understand that people may be filled with a lot of fear or uncertainty about what's happening to them. We would encourage them to call us, but we understand that that may feel very risky. What I would say to someone who's feeling that lack of power or feeling like they are without a lot of action, they actually hold a lot of power, and their power is in what they know and what they've experienced, because we can use that to protect them and to push back on the people who are threatening them.